After Leah Thomas broke a bunch of records in women's swimming, they're finally fighting back. This is great. They're finally fighting back, and it's about time. I've been silently supporting women in female sports, but as a white dude, I'm really just not interested in having people rage on me. However, it's not just about collegiate sports. Don't forget, this is about our kids. And although colleges are now starting to enforce it in one sport only after consistent pushback, if we had gotten lazy and were only mad for a day or two and got distracted, it would probably still be going on. So it's perfect that it's not. So what about in our high schools and our middle schools? Jim Jordan's covers that today. Let's jump into it.
He yields back. Chair recognizes the chairman of the full committee, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Scanlon, the ranking member just said this is simply about letting kids compete and that the sports governing bodies are addressing this. So I would just ask you two questions. Is Leah Thomas a kid? And is the NCAA appropriately and in the right way, in your judgment, addressing this situation?
They did not during our season. They said that Olympians deserve protections, but collegiate level athletes, grassroots level athletes, middle schoolers, high schoolers did not deserve those same protections.
So in your judgment, the chairman calling this hearing is not a waste of time, as the ranking member said. We're trying to get to the bottom of a real concern that's impacting all kinds of young ladies who participate in collegiate athletics.
Yes, and I would like to say that while there's been a lot of notions that this is such a minority group of people, this one transgender athlete, Leah Thomas, affected hundreds of girls. There were hundreds of girls at the NCAA championship that were in tears over the situation, whether it be getting bumped out of their spots in competition, failing to qualify for the meet, or having to change in the locker room next to a 6'4" biological male. This is not a minority group that is being affected by this.
I want to thank our witnesses for being here today.
Wow, she said that amazingly. We have hundreds of millions of women that are being affected by this. And we're not even going to consider middle school or high school. We're going to leave the kids out of this in regards to sports. So let's talk about colleges. Girls that have been competing most of their life, they love competition. Men love competition. We will always understand that. So it's not difficult for us to be empathetic on why women would also want to compete. That's why we have so many female sports. That's why in every college where they can afford it, because nothing is free, they have female sports. Because we want the ability for them to compete on a fair playing field. Men have no interest in beating women in physical sports. It doesn't even feel satisfying. And honestly, for a lot of us, it feels incredibly rude. We feel like they are the fairer sex, and we don't want to hurt them. And we separate that from the fact that you want to compete, and you may want to do things that are more violent. We support it fully. We're not going to support anything other than females in women's sports. There's a lot of people who want to argue that there's a lot of different types of people out there. Let's give them their argument. There's really only 3 circumstances that we need solutions for. If you're male, you play with men. If you're female, you play with women. If you identify as a male, you can play with men. And if you are a male identifying as a woman, you also get to play with the boys. The girls' leagues are exclusively for females, not people who identify as something else. If you want to play in sports, you can play with the dudes. It's where the high-level competition is. If you feel that that's unfair, work on making a 3rd league. Women had to. In that case, they had men supporting them. You can all make your own league as well. You can have a trans league. Good luck. If you have enough people to support it, it will be successful. You're not just going to invade women's locker rooms. You're not going to invade their competition. We didn't build that space for other people to pollute it with their identity politics. Go make your own. The only way to remove hypocrisy from our society is by not allowing identity politics to choose what's actually happening. Let's support all the females looking to compete and let them enjoy that aspect of life as well. Most trans people will say they have a laundry list of reasons they're oppressed. If this one is so important on their list, they should start making leagues because they're not going to invade the girls. I hope you learned something. I'm Tristan with Radically Rational Radio. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next episode. Stay resilient.